Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Bava Kamma, pages 31 through 37, Lamed Aleph through Lamed Zayin. 31. Shnei Kadarim, two potters, Shumahalchen ze achar ze, that were walking one after another. V'nitkal Rishon v'nafal, and the first one stumbles and falls. V'nitkal Sheni b'Rishon, and the second guy stumbles on the first guy. Harishon chayav nizkei sheni. So the law is the first fella has to pay for the damage that was incurred by the second guy. Now, why? What did he do wrong? What was the first guy supposed to do to avoid liability? Well, the Gemara offers two possibilities, neither of which this fellow did. One, hayalo la'amod velo amad. He should have gotten up and gotten out of the way and not continued to remain an obstacle in the public space. But he didn't do that. He stayed on the floor. Alternatively, even if he couldn't get up, he should have warned the second guy who was oncoming, saying, watch out, don't smack into me. And he didn't warn him. So failure to do anything, to either get up or warn the incoming traffic, is why the first guy who fell is going to be held liable. Lamed bet. Two are going in the public space. One is running, one is walking. Or they're both running. And they both injure each other. They collide, smack, boom, and they get hurt. Nan Peturim, they're both going to be exempt from payment. Isi ben Yehuda, however, says, Ratz chayav beshehu mishuneh. The one who's running has to pay the one who was walking, because the one who is running is acting abnormally. Then the ordinary course of behavior is you walk on the street. You don't sprint on the street. And if you're the sprinter, you have to pay. And he would agree, however, that if the person running was doing so Friday late in the afternoon, twilight time, that he would not have liability, because in that instance, when the Shabbos preparations have to be concluded very expeditiously, we allow him to run. We expect him to run. So under those circumstances, if there's an injury because of collision, no liability. Lamed Gimel 33. What happens if an ox that was worth $100 gores an ox worth $200? And it's a case of a tam where the payment is supposed to be half. And the carcass of the dead ox is worth nothing. No telas ashur, so the owner of the dead ox, who is the injured party, is allowed to take the other ox as the payment. Why? Because he's entitled to half of 200, which is 100, and the ox who is the offending party is worth 100, so he just takes the ox. Lamed Daled 34. Shor Shavamatai. What happens if the ox worth is 200? Shor Shavamatai, and gores an ox worth 200. So whereas the previous case was 100 against 200, now the case is 200 against 200. And the carcass of the injured party which died, the ox is dead, is worth nothing. Amar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said, Al Zenema, regarding this kind of scenario, the Torah gives us the instructions of what to do. Umachruat ashor hacha, you shall sell the live ox, v'chatzuat kaspo, and split the proceeds. So by selling the live ox, which was worth 200, and giving the injured party 100, and the owner of the ox 100, well, the injured party is getting exactly the thing he's supposed to get. The chatzi, the half of 200, which is 100, and all is well in the world. Lamed Hey, 35. What happens if one ox is chasing after another ox? Seemingly the intent to gore it, to injure it, whatever it might be. V'huzak, and the animal that's being chased got hurt. But we don't really know exactly how it got hurt. Zeomer shorcha hizik. The owner of the injured ox says, oh, your ox, you, the other fellow, your ox injured my ox, and you're going to have to pay. And the other one says, no, my ox didn't do anything. It may have been running, but your ox tripped over a rock and hurt itself. And it's no fault of my own. So what happens then? Do we assume that there was an act of goring which would require payment by the first owner? Or do we say it was a kind of a fluke thing that tripped over a stone? Hamotzi mechaveru alav haraya, that when you try to extract money from your fellow, the burden of proof is on the individual trying to extract the money. And since the injured party, the owner of that injured ox, can't prove, doesn't even know for sure that it was due to an act of goring by the other ox, therefore no payment is made, none. Lamed Vav 36. Shor shenagach dalad veheshvarim. What happens if one ox gored 4 or 5 other oxen? And we're talking about a situation where the payment is going to be made from the value of the living ox. Well, there may not be enough money to cover all these obligations just from the worth of the live ox. So what do you do? Zeh achar zeh, one after another. Yishalem la'acharon shebahem. You pay the last guy, the owner of the last ox that was gored. V'im yesh bo motar, and if there's leftovers, meaning if there's residual money from the live ox after having paid for the demise of the last ox, then you pay the guy who's in front of him. So if the 5th ox gets paid first, then if there's money left over, the 4th ox owner gets paid. And if there's money after that, you pay the 3rd guy. If there's money after that, you pay the 2nd guy. Rabbi Meir says we follow this system, and the owner of the last ox benefits. The owner of the earlier oxen lose out potentially, although not necessarily, depending upon what the value was of the offending ox. Lamed Zayin. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita. Ra Shor Nagach. Let's say an ox sees another ox and gores. Tamor Lo Nagach. But then he sees a donkey and doesn't gore. Sus Nagach. He sees a horse and he does gore. Gamal and a camel, Lo Nagach, does not gore. Herod, mule, Nagach, he gores. Arod, a wild one, Lo Nagach, he doesn't gore. So what happens? We see that every other animal, every odd-numbered animal, results in bad behavior by this particular ox. But every even-numbered animal results in tame behavior by this ox. How does that affect liability? Is this animal going to be a shor tam, a shor muad? How do we play this? Naaseh muad l'serugin lakol. The answer is that the ox now becomes a muad, which would require full payment, only for every other animal, not in general, but every alternating animal that it sees, lakol, and for any and all species. Meaning, it doesn't matter what species of animal it sees. What matters is this an odd number or is it an even number? And based upon that, he'll be a muad for those that it consistently is attacking, in this case, the odd numbers, and be a tam for the even numbers. Everyone have a great week.